Breaker Crunchers! Welcome to another exciting episode of Couch Crunchers. I am your host tonight, Lance. With me tonight, I have Sam and Max, as always, and a special guest from What's Your F'n Binge, Chris. Hi, Chris. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks.
I'm so off of it right now.
I know. Over there, Lance is like.
I know, dude. I feel like I have to perform because Chris has never been on the show before, so I was like, okay.
No, man, just be you, bro. Just be you, bro.
You know, Lance, it sounds like your blood sugars are low, man. You know what you really need is a Wild Bills.
Oh, you bastard.
I swear, we need to get them to sponsor us. This is 2-3 weeks in a row.
Oh, what's this? Oh, look at this.
Oh, and in the special mug.
Oh,
good job, man. I like it.
Oh, man.
So have you had Wild Bills from the Comic Cons?
No, I have not. I can't say that I have. Is that a coffee brew or a beer brew?
It's root beer. It's basically all the Comic Cons that we've gone to. They have this truck that comes in that has 6 to 9 little kegs of different kinds of root beers and sodas and stuff.
Right.
And it's what. If you're a presenter, it's $5 for the whole weekend. You get unlimited refills.
Oh man!
So we have become huge fans. We all have our special little mugs with whatever Comic-Con we got it from.
Yeah, they come with these mules. It's all veteran owned and operated.
Okay.
It's super cool company. They obviously have been hit really hard on their business model because it depends on going to events and setting up their shops. So if you have $30 just laying around, you can buy a 12-pack of your favorite flavor. They did just release grape, so I know Lance and Max were big fans.
Oh, heck yeah. I love grape.
Did you say it's all veteran owned?
What's that?
Did you say it was all veteran owned and operated?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I drink a whiskey on the show called Metal Soldier, and it's all veteran owned. And it's a whiskey, and if you buy their platinum bottle, the metal that the label is imprinted on is from 911. You get little pieces of 911 on the bottle, so it's because the owners and the guys who put it out, they were first responders. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anytime you can back something like that, that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Anything that's veteran owned or anything like that, it's a really they're breaking the traditional. I mean, a lot of these guys have a hard time getting back into the public and things like that and reacclimating themselves. So anytime there's a business that's like that and they're giving jobs to other veterans, it's fantastic. But,
yeah, the more the better. The more better run and the more capital they get, the better deal it is. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tonight we are going to be talking about the Umbrella Academy. Season 2 dropped a couple weeks ago. But before we get into that, I'd like to hear if you guys have been watching any shows that you kind of want to plug, get people on the bandwagon. Chris, we'll start with you. Is there anything that you want to get people to watch that maybe they haven't watched or have?
Yeah, man, I'll go ahead and do a spoiler on your old show. We have the picks of the month for August that are coming out, and the leading show that I have on it is Yellowstone.
That's
Yellowstone on Paramount Network, led by Kevin Costner, written in large part by Costner and produced by Costner. The cast is outstanding. The storyline tells you kind of the forgotten plot of these ranchers that are out in Montana and Wyoming and whatnot. And it's a real piece of Americana. It's a modern day Western, if you will. And just the story, the cinematography that's included in it, the backdrop of almost every scene, the way that they shoot up. It's reminiscent a lot of the way that they do the shooting on Hell on Wheels, where every scene they would have the camera shoot up at the guy a little bit, and then the scene would go into motion and all the dialogue would start. There's a lot where you get the wide scope and then the pan back to really see the backdrop of the scenery and everything. It's just fucking breathtaking, and the dialogue is top notch. And the way they all work together, you get the character arc super quick through season 1. they're in season 3 now. Season 3 just released a couple weeks ago, and it's definitely worth watching for sure.
Oh, so it's not new. I didn't realize it wasn't new.
No, not brand new. This is the 3rd season of it, and you can catch up on the first 2 seasons on Hulu, and then catch up on this 3rd season. There's a couple episodes left in this season. It moves quick. The bad guys from each one of the season, they get dealt with in a new and different way, and they don't always get dealt with. Sometimes they come back to ruin shit later. So it's really cool the way they move things along, and the way the family dynamic works with the landscape is really cool.
Yeah, Sam, was this the one you were talking about a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. It's also available on Peacock. If you want to catch up on the other seasons. It's really good. It's kind of like a new version of Dallas. There's a lot of drama, a lot of violence, a lot of sex, but it's kind of like Dallas, but at the level of Breaking Bad. It's very good. It's very good.
Oh, Max, our depraved individual, is getting a little excited over here. He's like, "What? Sex?"
I missed my window.
Yeah, your wife's been pregnant for 9 months. Yeah,
don't make me get the hose, bro. Sam, what about you? What have you been watching?
So just last night, there's a new movie on Netflix came out called Project Power, I think is what it's called.
Hey, that's our topic next week. Right?
Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and several other folks. It was interesting. I mean, it's not necessarily the way I would have done it, but it was interesting. It's a new release on Netflix. It's worth 2 hours, I guess, but wasn't knocking my socks off.
Don't give us too much, dude. We need a reason for people to watch the show next week.
Is it at least better than The Old Guard, in your opinion?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Oh, geez, that bad? All right. Well, we'll stop right there. This man did not like Old Guard, Chris.
On our show, we gave Old Guard dumpster juice. That we have a hashtag that goes around, and it was hashtag dumpster juice. We didn't dig it.
Yeah, I didn't either. These guys really liked it. I didn't like it because I felt like the best storyline they left sitting on the drawing room table, which was the gal who was sitting at the bottom of the ocean. They should have been going after her the whole time. And instead they were talking about pharmaceuticals.
There was a whole lot of social commentary, and once something goes political or like super leaning one direction or another on social commentary, I start tuning out, especially once it becomes predictable.
Right. Yeah, it was unfortunate. I felt like they had a lot of potential, but they just left it.
Yeah, I am excited for the next movie, which they're definitely going to make, because it goes more along the lines that Sam wanted it to go across.
That'd be better.
Yeah. So the tease was real nice. Max, what about you?
Well, you brought up a very interesting point. Hold on just a second. You private messaged me and told me that my audio didn't sound like it was coming through my microphone. Is that better now?
Yes, that's way better.
Frick. My StreamYard has been defaulting to this freaking gaming headset that I wear. That's why I sounded like crap.
Like, dude, it sounds like you're coming through a microphone that's on the other side of the room. Like,
and I had the mic up and not even down to my face. No wonder I didn't sound good. Well, thank you, man. Alive. I keep having technical difficulties. Last week you sounded like garbage the first minute of the show, and then all of a sudden you got better. Anyway, that's what happens when you do it live. The fun times we have. Yeah, so I've been having some fun with a few things. I was telling you, Lance just had a baby. I had a baby, and I went over to his house earlier today to have it meet. So that
your photo
clarify, we did not have a baby together.
That's true. Each of our wives
together.
Yeah, we did a little photo shoot. Our 2 kids. He has a girl. I have a boy. They are destined to marry one another. So Lance and I can officially be family. Anyways, I was telling him earlier today that I've been playing on the PS4 Ghost of Tsushima, which I've mentioned on the show the last few weeks because I've been playing it much slower than I usually play games, probably because I have a newborn and don't have as much time to play. Anyway, been loving that game. It's been so much fun. I did what I've never done on any game. I got every single trophy. I've never platinumed, as they call it on PlayStation, any game. And last night I finished the last thing I needed. I have earned every single trophy in that game, beat the storyline, and just had a lot of fun with it. It was a good time. But from the watching standpoint, I've been watching Doom Patrol. I'm still a few episodes behind. I know the season finale came out, but I loved season 1 of that show. Like I gave it a. Well, no, I think the finale came out. I think episode 9 was the. No, is that not the finale?
Last season had 15 episodes. We've only had 9 this season. I'm pretty sure there's more.
I hope there's more. 9 doesn't seem like very much. I hadn't seen a new episode for a couple weeks, I thought. So I was like, oh, wow, are they only doing a 9-episode season? Anyway, so I'm a little behind on that one, but I've been loving it. Season 1, I gave a 5 out of 5 and just gave a glowing review on our website. And season 2 isn't quite as good, in my opinion, but I still freaking love it. It is just weird and zany. And it's just silly, man. Like, without getting into spoilers, they have the names of the episodes alone tell you how weird it's going to be. Like, episode 4 is called Sex Patrol. Like, it's just a stupid, silly show. It's on DC Universe, which effectively I just canceled yesterday because now everything on DC Universe is going to HBO Max. So what's the point of having DC Universe? Or you can watch it on HBO Max. So if you guys want
ours is HBO Lance because you don't pay for it, he does.
we kind of split everything. That's funny.
I use his Hulu, so it's a fair trade. So Max, a little clarification. Apparently that the 9th episode is the last episode, but there was intended to be more, and coronavirus derailed it. That's why it didn't feel like a season finale.
Oh.
Yeah, I just looked
didn't
it up.
know that.
Because I was like, something's wrong here. That better not be the season finale. But it did come out August 6th, so I was just expecting another episode to come out. But
the group with the animators and voiceover actors, like the voice actor part of the studio, whenever they all get together, or the animators part of the studio, whenever they get together for that kind of series, they work in such big teams. And the way Hollywood is shut down, like if you're getting into the SAG notes on how they're going to start opening the studios, like it's just a monster production to have all of those people working together. Even though some of the animators work in different parts of the world, they still collab in groups.
yeah,
and get together to put the whole thing, put the whole final piece together. So yeah, it makes sense that they had to stop filming because so many other shows did. SAG saying they're all going to be back in studio between the 17th and 19th of August. They'll be able to start resuming filming of all the series that stopped in the middle, like Blacklist and all these other shows. They should be able to come back out and finish filming. The Walking Dead.
Yeah, they didn't ever do their finale. Yeah.
Yeah, the season finale is coming out, I think, October 20th, and they're in filming of it right now to hurry up and get it out for that. So a lot of things are coming back at least.
Yeah, I mean, Supernatural was in the middle of their last season, and we're still holding on for 5 episodes that we're just waiting here for.
Yeah, hopefully this is one of the studios that's getting back to work. And the way they're going to do it's super weird. Like the actors come in and do their reading, the directors and the lighting come in and set the stage. They do it in separate pieces, and then it all gets edited back together. So it sounds weird, but I'm sure that, the big studios, at least, it'd be really cool to see how that comes out.
Well, because Spider-Man 3 is supposed to start filming here soon, too. And I was trying to figure out how they were going to do it with such a huge... I mean, because in my mind, that's probably got to be the biggest production that's coming back, right? Spider-Man.
Right.
What I would assume is the biggest. Yeah. And I still don't know how they're going to do it, because we've seen a lot of states start to reopen. And Arizona, which the 3 of us live in, has reopened and then saw a spike in coronavirus cases. So I don't know what they're going to do. Like they're going to reopen and then potentially something happen again. We have no idea. But
well, I mean, what I've been hearing is that it's going to be similar to like what the NBA is doing, but I don't know how you do what the NBA is doing with a massive crew for filmmaking. And what the NBA has been doing is they're all living in a bubble. They have like 3 resorts at the Walt Disney World resorts, and that are completely for NBA players only. All the food is like made there. Everyone stays there. You can't leave. You can't have any outside contact with your family. which would be very difficult, I'm sure. Like if you have a family, you want to see them.
Oh no!
So now,
You pay me what LeBron is making, you can separate me from my family. It'd be okay.
In the old,
that's fair.
in the
Fair
old
enough.
days of Hollywood, they would do the entire movie from set B at Universal or set C at Warner Brothers. They're going to have to take a page out of old Hollywood's books and do everything on location, and then somehow or another, put up a 2-story fucking hotel for everyone to live at
That's
the
what I'm thinking.
studio. That's
Yeah.
if
Well,
they're going
or-
to do it, well, that's the only way they can really do it the way the NBA's doing it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or at the very least, like you have specialized buses that are only for the people living in that bubble that transport them to and from, like things like that. The logistics of that have got to be a nightmare. And I'm sure that
That's a lot of trusting a lot of people that you don't get to watch every move of doing.
right.
Bring
Like
up-
do you hire security to not let them leave the hotel?
right.
Like, I mean, yeah, it's nuts. Like I listened to the Fake Doctors Real Friends podcast, which is a Scrubs podcast, and Zach Braff and Donald Faison were talking about that. They're both working actors, and Zach Braff was saying that he's not interested in going back even in that kind of a scenario because he just had a friend die of the virus pretty brutally.
Nick Cordero.
Yeah, Nick Cordero, and that was so that's really fresh in his mind. Which Donald Faison is friends with him too. But Donald was a little bit more willing to go back. He's like, well, if it's like a good bubble and everything is there, I'm willing to go back. Probably because he's just like, I need to get out of the house away from my 8,000 kids. Because Donald Faison has a lot of kids. But no, I get it. But anyway, it's just crazy. That's too bad. I didn't realize Doom Patrol was impacted like that. I figured Doom Patrol had filmed everything like last year, and then they were kind of doing editing and things like that, which from my understanding can be done more remote, but I don't work in that industry.
With all the shows that DC Studios has going right now, all of these anime series that are coming out, I'm sure they're working like up to the minute to get these shows out. They probably the ink just dried a month ago before this last episode came out.
Yeah.
Doom Patrol is a live action
series.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that's why they do it on a weekly basis, unlike the other streaming networks that release everything at once. Because I think by the time the first episode is debuting, they're probably not finished filming the last episode, I would assume.
Yeah, that's fair. That's similar to like network.
I mean, like a normal series would be.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things that. So I just finished this Netflix show called The Rain. I don't know if either of you guys have seen it. They just had their series finale, so 3 seasons. It's a show, I want to say it's set in Sweden or something like that, so it's dubbed.
That's the one that's out of Germany.
Is it Germany?
They won quite a few awards over there for it. How'd you get through it?
I loved it. My wife actually. It's crazy because my wife isn't normally into dubbed shows or subtitled shows. I'm not much into subtitled shows as much, but dubbed has never really bothered me as much. Okay. But we both watched it together. She loved it, and I just thought the idea was really interesting. And it's small. The seasons were small doses. I mean, 10 episodes each season, 3 seasons long, and so it wasn't a huge undertaking. The other thing is the dub is done so well that sometimes you're watching it and you forget that these aren't the real voices of these characters.
That's cool.
Yeah, like you just kind of get past it. Like, so I would much prefer to watch anything dubbed over subtitled. I think if it was subtitled, I wouldn't have been able to watch it. There's another show called There's another show called Dark that I've heard is really good. I think that's dubbed as well.
We reviewed that for our show, and it's subtitled.
Is it subtitled?
And
they do have it dubbed. They do have it dubbed as well.
Yeah, and they have starting later in the first season and through the second season and third season just came out. They're doing something really unique, kind of like what Norseman did, where they record it in their language and there's a dubbed version of it available, and then they redo it, or a subtitled version of it. I'm sorry, and then they redo it where they speak both in English and dub it with the same actors, the same scenes, et cetera, et cetera. Norseman and Dark are the only two series I know of that are doing it that way. Where they record twice with the same actors to do it both in their language and then also do it in English. And they have the subtitling included even with the English broadcast because the accents are pretty thick, but they do it both ways, which is really
That's good to know. I've been wanting to watch Norseman. Yeah, wow.
That's the first thing I thought is how talented are these guys that they're able to record duplicate scenes and two different languages, you know.
Dark is really complex, I'd say. Like the plot is pretty complex, but it is enjoyable if you can keep up with it. It's kind of along the lines of like Christopher Nolan, timey-wimey, mindy-bendy.
I'm sold. All you had to say is Nolan, man. That's better than sex.
Oh my God. I told you he's depraved.
Gotta spark some energy into this. Come on, guys. Come on.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, and then the other thing we started last night is I was laughing my butt off on the show. It's Teenage Bounty Hunters that's just came out on Netflix, and it is absolutely hysterical. It's about a two teenage twin girls who come from like a rich white family and somehow get pulled into being bounty hunters, and they're finding these people that jump their bail and stuff like that. And it is absolutely hysterical. It reminds me a little bit of like 15 Reasons Why, or is it 15 Reasons? 13 Reasons Why.
10 Things I Hate About You, 13 Reasons Why, Blink 182, Third Eye Blind.
I know, man. I know. So it reminds me of that.
The square root of 26 Reasons Why.
Not as dark. It's more funny, kind of in the vein of like a Glee type thing, but not as stupid. But it's really funny, dude. Like we just watched it because we're just sitting here waiting patiently for Lucifer to come out on the 21st. So we're itching for things to watch. So I would definitely recommend that one to anyone. It's really funny. And the two girls, one of them is from Supernatural. The other one is from The Gifted. Max, you remember the girl in The Gifted that has the really extreme superpower and she dies a couple episodes? She's only there for a couple episodes, but she's the love interest of the boy that leaves the family.
No.
Well, you should watch The Gifted again.
I don't remember who you're talking about.
I thought you were more into that show than I was, but yeah, she's from there. So it's really good. I would recommend it to anyone. But let's get into our main topic of the night, The Umbrella Academy, Season 2.
I do just want to make a point of correction here. Donald Faison doesn't have 8 million kids, Max. He has 6.
I know.
I have.
It's a joke that they make on the show. They always say he has way more kids than he actually does. They never say the real number. Yeah, Donald has 15 kids. He's got 36 kids. He's got no. That's
I think
a lot
to do that with Sam. I always forget how many kids Sam has, and I say something like 28. I have a lot of kids too, though. So I have no room, people in glass homes shouldn't throw stones. Is that the way it works?
How about no one should throw stones? Let's just all stop throwing stones.
Unless you're a professional stone thrower.
Yeah, Sam, why do you have to discriminate against professional
I know, man. People got to make a living.
Correct.
All right, let's talk about the Umbrella Academy. All right, so we all watched it, I hope. There's no Kyles or Tylers on here that haven't watched it, right?
Wait, what are we talking about?
The Umbrella Academy. Stuber. Chris, we got one of our co-hosts who's not here. He's actually out of town. He'll come on the show a couple times, and he didn't watch all of something that we're talking about, like Hamilton a couple weeks ago. And then we got another guy.
I told him, I'm defending Tyler now because I told him not to watch it all. He was like, dude, I got 10 minutes in and I hated it. I'm like, well, if you hated it, you don't need to keep watching it. And that, in retrospect, I shouldn't have told him to do that because it made it so he didn't have anything to say.
And then we have our friend Kyle from the Absolute Geek podcast, and we asked him to come on and talk about Spider-Man: Far From Home. And halfway through the episode, he finally admit he didn't go see it. He had us going. he had us going for 50% of the episode. We were all thinking that he saw it, and he's just saying things. We're like, wait, that's not right, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Finally admitted that he hadn't seen it. It was one of the funniest moments on the show. So, but yeah, the Umbrella Academy. So season 2 dropped a couple weeks ago. I think it's most people binged it within the first 24 hours. I felt like, because already reviews of the entire season was coming up pretty quickly. If you don't know, the Umbrella Academy is based on a Dark Horse Comics book written by Gerard Way and Gabriel Bá. I think I said that right. And it's one of Netflix's flagship series. It's fantastic. But I want to get a little bit of insight, because Chris is our binger master, I guess you could say. Professional. So as you heard in the beginning of the podcast, Chris co-hosts a show called What's Your F'n Binge, where they'll typically talk about shows that you binge and things like that, right, Chris?
Yeah.
So Umbrella Academy is a prime candidate for that. So we wanted to have him on to kind of talk with us about his thoughts on this show. Chris, so did you watch season 1 when it premiered, and then we're kind of holding on for season 2 to come out, or did you watch it all together? Or
I waited until season 2 was about to come out before I caught up on it, just because of the restraints of the show that I host. I have to watch so many different series. So with this one being a season 2 release, we kind of held off on watching any of it until it got close to time. But first and foremost, not having read the comics, I probably have a little bit of a different twist on it. Maybe not so much of a twist. I'm just not going to draw all the parallels to it to someone who's a diehard like Walking Dead or any of the Avenger comics or Spider-Man or anything. I'm not going to draw parallels to the comics with it. But what I'll say first and foremost is you get a really big social narrative on all of these kids who are very diverse. So they have to go through all of their challenges of growing up with diverse wants and needs, different personalities, growing up in a household where the father not only ignores them but completely demeans them while trying to bring out their powers and throw them into the fray against these grown-ass men that are the bad guys. You get to see a lot of there's a lot of social commentary that goes on with it, and some of it is very interesting and parallel to what you see in some news. But the reveal of each one of their powers, you get to see them as a person first, and then the reveal of their powers as the show goes along. My favorite part, of course, is the I believe number 5, who's the time traveler, who has the multiple conversations with himself at given times. A 13-year-old version of himself arguing with a 60-year-old who's arguing with a 35-year-old in the middle, and they all know of these different impending apocalypses that are coming about. That's pretty. It's pretty fucking entertaining idea. It really is.
Yeah. Well, as we know, Gerard Way, one of the creators of this book, is from My Chemical Romance. And if you know anything about his writing styles as a musician and some of the other projects he's done, he's an interesting dude. This is the kind of stuff that he would think up. It fits his portfolio completely.
It totally feels emo. Like as I watch it, I'm just like, this feels like a punk rock emo vibe. Like the entire thing of it does. Especially, why am I blanking on his name? I can't remember now.
Number
the guy
5?
who's dead people. No, the guy who's dead people. Like Klaus. Thank you. Sorry, Klaus very much feels like a freaking emo kid in every single way.
No way, dude.
He's a very sad character who catches the brunt of things, no matter what he does.
Yeah.
I guess
he's a stoner
what I
hippie.
mean. The look is more what I meant. Sorry.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
the eyeliner and stuff. Like he's got the look of someone who would be a follower of My Chemical Romance. Maybe not his personality so much, but like his look very much feels like that punk rock emo vibe from the mid 2000s.
Going out and OD.
Dude, I was in that crowd. I never dressed like that, but I was in that crowd.
He goes out and ODs and they Narcan him in the back of the ambulance and he wakes up, fucking high fives everybody. That's hilarious, man. man.
Yeah.
What's funny is their outfits from the one that number 5 wears for most of the series looks pretty similar to the outfits that My Chemical Romance wore when they were first starting out as a group. They did a music video, I'm Not Okay, and they're in like kind of these schoolboy suits, kind of like Angus Young. Like that's kind of what I think number 5 is wearing shorts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a suit with
Shorts
shorts,
and long
which is very
socks.
much Angus Young-ish. And it reminds me of the early My Chemical Romance days, dressing up like that and stuff like that. And he even has kind of like thick black hair that's kind of swoopy a little bit. And he looks like an emo kid for sure. Sam, what are your thoughts?
My favorite moment of season 2 was in that first episode where they first get to 1963 and the apocalypse is already upon them, right? The Russians have invaded and there's nuclear warheads going off and the whole team is swooping in and they're demonstrating their powers and they're meeting the menace head on, right? And I was like, oh, here we go. This is a wonderful bookend for this whole season. We're gonna start with this really impressive display, and then catch up to it at the end. And they never really did reach that same point, and I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get to see them achieve the heights that they showed in that first scene. But the finale we did get was pretty fun, regardless.
You can tell there's definitely a ramp up in total production. The money that was spent, total production quality, and the way that they shoot everything, you could tell that there's a big ramp up in it, which means definitely more to come. I think they've announced already for season 3, but you can easily see where they can go to 5 with this if they
for sure
put money in it.
And I'm hoping that we get to see them achieve those abilities eventually. It would be really nice to kind of see that promise paid off eventually, because I was really impressed by the whole team vibe, and also Luther catching that bomb in his back and he just like shakes it off, and then you've got the ghost army that Klaus is commanding and they're rising from the ground, and he it basically looks like Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean, just sending all the deadies after everybody, and Vanya, White Violin, shows up and she uses her powers, and it's just very cool. So I was really looking forward to seeing that actually take place and actually have meaning in the story, but they kind of do-si-doed it, and hopefully we'll get to see something like that eventually. But I was really impressed. I thought it was a really good season. The thing I really like about Umbrella Academy is that the powers are secondary to their family relationship. And you really get to sink into their sibling relationships and kind of the toxicity, and also the therapeutic moments where they're coming back together and working out their differences in order to be a family first and then a superhero team second. And I really enjoyed that.
Well, they do a horrible job at being a family, which is a big part of the drama. Like they're always fighting. I mean, I guess that's normal, families to fight. We just decided that last week that I grew up in a weird family that didn't fight. But they're like
the value that you see with them really plays a lot, especially whenever you're seeing the powers get drawn out and they become more and more each time you see them really put them to work. The whole dysfunctional dichotomy there that you see between them and the family, and how they decide to use their powers because of family ties and relationships is pretty cool. Pretty cool play on things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. And the reality is, if they would just actually team up and get along, they could conquer things so much better. Now, that would make for a much more boring show because it'd only be 1 or 2 episodes. But that's what's so interesting about it, is watching them bicker and argue and fight and all this, and never really team up until they very select moments, and I love that. That's not a criticism. I think that's a really fun aspect to the show, but it's just interesting, and it's pretty typical in team up movies. Even Avengers was like that. And go ahead.
Yeah, well, I kind of think that this is meant to be like that superhero team up that's anti-Avengers, right? So they get there by non-traditional ways. Yes, they have love for each other, which we see over and over again, that they have that true family love, but they're so dysfunctional. Sometimes the Avengers in the movies can be so functional, right? Like they have moments where it seems like they're just firing on all cylinders, and to see a team up where they're never really firing on all cylinders is kind of refreshing, and it kind of separates itself from other things that we've seen, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I think in general, Netflix has been doing a pretty good job of being the place for the less traditional superhero kind of stuff. And Umbrella Academy is probably the prime example of that. I love it. And sorry, I'm just chiming in. I should I just go with my thoughts?
Yeah, go for it.
I figured Sam and Chris are gone.
Let's just go into spoiler mode.
Yeah, well, you always go last, so I figured it's my turn anyway. I mean, I've already said some of my thoughts. I really loved it. Season 1, I think, is slightly better. My wife disagrees. She thought Season 2 was even better than Season 1. But I absolutely love Season 2. It really showcases how people... how some people can really embrace strange circumstances and how other people just can't. I mean, you saw some people come into this 1960s era and really go along with things. I mean, for instance, and I only watched it a week ago. I don't know why I can't remember people's names. The I Heard a Rumor character. What is her name again?
Oh, Allison.
Allison comes in and she embraces a new life, and she gets married and she starts working in the civil rights movement, which in hindsight maybe wasn't the right thing for her to do, because messing with history can really mess things up. But she got like really ingrained in that life, and she embraced being in the 60s. Whereas you've got Luther, who like was just kind of sulking for years. I found that really interesting to see how each character handled it, and I think the characters that are built in Season 1 really inform the decisions they make in Season 2 really well. I love how Klaus becomes a freaking cult leader, and that was freaking hilarious and extremely on in character for him. I loved the moments between Ben and Klaus. Freaking tragic that Ben died. That sucks. But I loved that, and like how you get to see the progression of their powers, and Ben being able to take over Klaus and use his body, and his cute little crush on that girl in the cult, and all that stuff. There's just so many fun.
Kind of a freak. That shocked me.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to be able to touch this girl, right? Like he just wants to have this like sensual moment, not even like sex, right?
Yeah, it's like the Zombieland thing. I want to just brush a girl's hair behind her ear.
Yeah, and then Ben's realization that this girl has been rolling in the sheets with Klaus several times, and not just like one-on-one traditional fashion either, like full-on group orgies and things like that. The look on his face in this realization, like Klaus is this dirty dog. Oh, I was laughing on the floor, man. It was so funny. Ben's
the fact that Klaus could never remember who he was.
What?
Like, and the fact that Klaus like never even remembered who she was, and he had sex with her.
She was just another piece of ass in the group, and he never even put a face or a name to it. So horrible. Yeah. You get so many snapshots of like classic teenage angst with each of these characters, and the turmoil and the heartbreak that they're going through. Some of it imagined, some of it real. Some of them are they've just been slighted, and it's turned into a lifetime of this. It's basically what Klaus is with his drug abuse and everything going on, and turning into the cult leader. It's whenever you see the flashbacks of his childhood, other than his sibling rivalries, what he got from the rest of the household, the mother and the little snapshots with his dad, it seems like he was slighted more than anything, as far as not so much direct abuse, and turned into this some real imaginary demons that he had to fight with the drugs and to stay away from talking with the dead and all that good stuff. Just a lot of really cool things, man.
Absolutely. Well, what I like most about Klaus, because Klaus, I would say, is most people's favorite character for the most part, just because he seems to be the most fun. But what I like about Klaus is that he does all these drugs and all these alcohol, And if you think about it, when you're on these substances and stuff, it's like inching closer to death, right? Like it feels like instead of 100%, you're 50% or whatever it could be. So he's lessening that gap between him and the death that he sees on a daily basis. And I kind of like that a little bit. Like if you would have made Luther or Diego or any of those other characters the drunk drug addict, it probably wouldn't have held the same weight, but it makes sense for this character to
in a touch, it kind of makes him a little bit more human of the cast,
right?
Because he has more human frailties, I guess. So he's kind of he kind of stirs the drink with a lot of shit because of his shenanigans, really.
Yeah, and the fact that he has kind of this conscience, I have never been able to say that word, of Ben sitting over his shoulder, like the good angel Ben. He's like, Klaus, don't do that. And he's still the one that does the most dumb stuff. Like not even this hidden outside voice can control him. It makes me laugh even more because Klaus is the true definition of his own person, right? Luther is trying to constantly live up to the expectations of his father. Diego is trying to gain the affection of his father that Luther has. Allison is trying to just be a normal human being, right? Trying to gain the acceptance of the public. And
the fans.
Yeah, and Vanya's trying to gain acceptance of herself, right? Because she doesn't know who she is or anything like that. But you know, Klaus just doesn't care.
He's almost playing an homage to Heath Ledger and as Joker, where he's, I'm just an agent of chaos. I just do things.
Yeah.
He just does shit sometimes just to see what happened, which is
kind of reminds me of a Charles Manson, not as depraved, obviously, but like Charles Manson Joker type figure that he's the only one that's in control of himself, and that he's the only one that can control himself, and he really has no control over himself. It's just kind of like a spontaneity thing.
He just sees the fun of fucking with everything around him, so he does it because he can. Yeah. He's that guy, so yeah.
But you have to have some sort of intelligence to you because he started a cult.
Yeah.
He's not dumb.
No, he's definitely not dumb. But then I started asking myself, okay, is it Klaus the reason that the cult started? Or is it Ben? Like, where does that intelligence come from? Because you kind of get a package deal of the both, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's Klaus. I think Ben is, like you said, he's like the conscience on his shoulder that he never listens to anyway.
Yeah,
they're two separate people, and I was going to say they each make their own decisions, but the reality is Ben can't really make his own decisions because he's tethered to Klaus. But I think it's Klaus. I think Klaus is the one in control of his own destiny. Another thing I really liked though in this season is Diego. I think Diego got a better spotlight and a little bit better of a story arc this season than in season 1.
It added a dimension to him.
Yeah, because when I watched season 1, I really enjoyed everybody, but when my wife and I were going to prepare for season 2, we wanted to rewatch season 1, and I was like, I don't even remember anything from Diego in season 1. Like, I could not recall anything from him. And as I rewatched season 1, I was like, oh, there's actually a lot of big story beats with him in it, but he's just less interesting as a character compared to some of the others. And I think season 2 did a much better job of fleshing him out and making him more interesting. I mean, he played a big role in the fact that he brought that other girl kind of into their fold, who ended up kind of being close to the instrument of their downfall before 5 was able to kind of turn time back and save the day. But I really liked that they gave Diego a different arc. He was still the same character who, like you said, is trying to gain that affection of Daddy and whatnot. But you know what I mean? He just felt deeper and more fleshed out and a lot more interesting this season than he was in season 1, at least for me.
What was the hair, dude? They grew his hair out. That's
the hair.
All his personality was in his hair.
You got to see a lot more of some of the sequences of the way he thought, making him take some actions. You got to see a little bit of a deeper look at him. So that's cool too. That's like some of the character development takes place at the beginning of season 1, later in season 1, the beginning of season 2, and then late in season 2, we get to see what's her face almost turn into a Dark Phoenix kind of character. Yeah. So, you get just the extrapolation or the building of their powers and then being drawn out over the different time periods just gives you a really cool length of time to see character development and arc where people are actually giving it the time to see this development in people instead of being in a rush to be over with it in season 1 to decide if we're going to see more. The fact they're giving it that time is pretty cool, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would I think a lot of that has to go into as well is the only real star actress, I guess you could say, that's in this entire series is Ellen Page, right? She's probably the biggest actress in the whole thing. And I love that Netflix did that. They got a bunch of unknowns because when you have unknown actors, you don't have to focus as much of the spotlight on them. Ellen Page was really the protagonist of all of season 1, right? For some reason, she was the focus in the beginning, and you didn't even know why she was the focus, right? Which makes sense. She was the star of the whole show. But because you got no-name actors in these other roles, you didn't have to spend so much of the spotlight on them, and I think it made them more endearing as to us as viewers because they were able to just slowly flesh out their stories and not give it all to you at once. Like with Marvel, you have, they introduce the Avengers and you have Elizabeth Olsen and stuff comes in with Age of Ultron, and they spent so much time developing these two twins because they were kind of more recognizable names, right? And Age of Ultron just kind of suffered because of it, in my opinion. So with this, I mean, you get that chance to really flesh out the family unit rather than focusing on a single character. Another good example of that is Suicide Squad, that focused a little bit too much on Deadshot and Harley Quinn, and where all these other actors you kind of wanted to feel and see who they were, and you didn't really get that opportunity because the spotlight was put on one person.
Sam's making a face over there. I don't think Sam agrees.
Sam doesn't agree? Sam, you're on mute.
Yeah, I know. I've got my daughter in the other room is getting ready to potty train, so I've got to put it on mute. But yeah, no, I don't agree with you on Suicide Squad. What's interesting to me about Umbrella Academy Season 2 is I have 7 kids, and the 7 siblings in this show exhibit a lot of the same kind of dynamic that I see in my own kids.
Did you give them names at least? Do you have names or are they numbers?
Oh, let me see if I can remember them.
I love how Sam's like, I don't agree with you on Suicide Squad, and I'm not going to give you any reason as to why.
I mean, we're not.
Now I'm like, what doesn't he agree with? No, let's talk about Umbrella Academy. We'll talk about it later.
So Klaus is the middle kid. He's number 4. And number 4 is the guy who he's in the dead center of all the siblings. And so he's got to go his own way to try and keep the balance of everybody else. And so when I see Klaus, my middle child, he does the opposite of whatever anyone else is doing. And to me, that's Klaus. Klaus stirs the pot when everyone else is calm. And when everyone else is going crazy, he's the calm one. He's the steady one. And everyone else, they kind of fall in the same roles in their family that I see my kids falling into. So it's really fascinating the way the sibling dynamic. And the other thing is, you never really grow up with your siblings. Like the people you grow up with, you're always in the same relationship with them through your whole life. Mm-hmm. And you see that in the siblings in the Umbrella Academy. Like number 5, he's always number 5. It doesn't matter whether he's a teenager or he's an old man, he's still number 5. And it doesn't matter how much time he spent away from them. The minute he gets back with them, he falls into the same number 5 role. And as far as the time cops go, like he's this legend, right? But when he gets back with his siblings, legend status is gone. He's just a kid. He's just one of them.
Which is funny because they were all born on the same day at the exact same moment.
Right, and the numbers were assigned arbitrarily by Hargreaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sir Reginald. So it's just really fun to watch the sibling dynamics that they carry through, because there's a flush. Sorry.
You had to mute the toilet flushing? Is that what you did?
I think he's getting callbacks to the first episode he was ever on where we kept making flush jokes. So he's trying to avoid those. The first episode Sam was ever on, Chris.
It wasn't the first episode.
It was one of the first episodes, though. But it was near the beginning of when Sam started joining us that we had a listener commenting live that it sounded like Sam. It looked like Sam was sitting on his.
It was. Yeah, I would.
And so I kept pulling up flush jokes on my phone and putting them into the mic throughout the episode.
Sam's like, damn it, I thought we outlived that one.
So I really enjoy. There's a lot to enjoy about Umbrella Academy season 2 with beyond just the mission that they're trying to get. I mean, the mission serves as the backdrop for them to explore their sibling dynamics. And Max, I have to disagree with you. Season 2 is better because there's less incest. And
how can they be incestuous if they're not related?
They are. They're not biologically related. They're related.
And also the serial killer, Vanya's serial killer boyfriend is not in it. He was the worst part of season 1.
He was great. No, I
he
loved
sucked so bad. I hated that guy.
Awesome. He was awesome.
No, he was gross. Come on.
Well, he was gross, but like he was an interesting villain, and it was a cool mystery leading up to that and all that. I liked it. I thought that was cool. Season 1 was better in a lot of ways for me. Season 2 was just such a rehash. It's the same old thing. You got the apocalypse of season 1, and now there's another apocalypse. Is season 3 going to be another apocalypse?
Well, they joke about that frequently.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
I didn't mind it for season 2. I'm just hoping season 3 isn't another. We have to stop the apocalypse. If it is, I'm sure I'll still love it, but I'd like something new.
Well, it's like
you got to tease of what season 3 is going to be about, right? It's getting back into their father's graces because now their father has no idea who they are.
Yes. Which, it's so interesting the way time travel always works. Because shouldn't they be wiped from existence then? Or not wiped from existence, but like they should have totally different lives and not be the Umbrella Academy anymore. Or are there two versions of themselves in this world now? You know what I mean? Like, are they in an alternate reality now?
I don't know.
I don't think they've hinted towards any multiverse stuff, so it's probably just going to be them on a different track. Probably.
Yeah, it's just going to be timey-wimey, baby-wind. Yeah, okay.
We'll probably keep hearing
Don't think about it too much.
Apocalypse one after another until they actually stop a fucking apocalypse, and then we can move on. But we'll probably just keep hearing about different apocalypse every time they do some sort of time travel bit. So we'll have 4 or 5 apocalypse going on until they actually fucking stop one.
It's going to be the burn notice of superhero comics.
Right?
Oh, yeah. We stopped that apocalypse, but there's an even bigger apocalypse right behind it.
Yeah. No, I definitely felt that too, but I thought that kind of added to the humor of the show. It's like, hey, you stopped the apocalypse, not so fast. Here's another one. Like this show, I don't think would work if it didn't have any of that humor.
Oh, the humor is great. But okay, I'll give you my real reason why season 2 was not as good as season 1. Here's the real reason. Lack of Hazel. Come on, man. Hazel was gone within 5 minutes of season 1. I loved Hazel.
He's got that Mindhunter money now.
Well, no, I get you. Hazel was really great, and they tried to bring in the love interest for Diego as like the substitute for Hazel. She was there to fill that void. But
Hazel was better.
He has a different vibe. He has a very different vibe.
I'm a fat guy, and I like when you show me some fat heroes, man. Okay?
Oh my gosh, dude. Luther doesn't do it for you?
He's not fat. Luther's buff.
Luther's just big. Like he's just
that's different. I'm not big and muscular. I'm milkshake beer gut fat. Okay? That's what I need, some role models. Okay.
Oh man.
Okay, that's not the real reason, but I love Hazel, and I did miss him. Like, I like that they gave him a happy ending, more or less. You know, he got to live his life with the donut lady, and you know, she died, I think, of cancer. But like, they lived, you know, a good 30 years or whatever it was, and that was sweet. But couldn't they have lived 30 years together, like when the show was ending and having a finale? I just loved Hazel. I missed him. That's all.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to remember. So the leader of the agency, the fishbowl guy, right?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Oh, I can't remember. I've got the list of characters up here. Is he Dr. Terminal? No, I don't know. I'd have to...
something like Lou.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the cover of Counting Crow's most
A.J. Carmichael.
Yeah, Counting Crow's most famous album is almost an exact replica of that character. And I was trying to think if Gerard Way maybe drew inspiration from that. Like it looks exactly the same except one fish instead of two. And I was trying to think if maybe that was drawn from it. I don't know if you guys notice a lot of the musical elements that are in the just how they do the art for the show and some of the character development and stuff like that. Like number 5 has a very Angus Young feel to it. Klaus's Cult looks like it's straight out of like a Beatles-esque music video and stuff like that. Like I think that's why I love the show. I like this show more than The Boys, and you can kind of make these two, The Boys and The Umbrella Academy, similar as far as tone wise, I guess you could say, like the humor superhero element. But the Umbrella Academy focuses so much on the score and the cinematography and things like that, and it's so deeply rooted in music. And I was going to get your guys' thoughts. What's that?
Almost like The Watchmen was. The Watchmen.
Yeah, The Watchmen.
Dark musical score, and it matched the scenes, kind of the same tone for me, at least.
Yeah, and I love The Watchmen up until the end. But are you're talking about the film, the Snyder film, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I love The Watchmen up until the end, but I definitely can understand that. And Snyder does that a lot. His movies are very rooted with music. Sucker Punch being a prime example of that too. Having that kind of heavy metal type feel to it. And I felt that same way with the Umbrella Academy. Max, Sam, what do you guys think?
I'll just say go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead, Max.
I was just going to say, Lance, you're more tied into the music scene than I am. I love music. I mean, you and I were in a band together, but you definitely have a bigger and greater passion for it than I do. And so like the parallels you're making, they're going over my head. I don't even know what you're talking about with the Angus Young parallel or the Beatles music videos. I never really watched music videos. I just enjoy listening to music. But I will say that I freaking love the music that they pick for this show. Both in season 1 and season 2, they pick amazing songs for the right moments. It reminds me of, again, the Scrubs podcast I listen to. Zach Braff is a director. He talks about how when he films a scene, he'll play different music. He'll use a lot of different music choices when he's like editing. And when a song gives him goosebumps as he's watching the scene, that is when he knows he's picking the right one. And Umbrella Academy feels like someone was doing that, and they have the same music taste as me, because I constantly was watching scenes and I'm like, dang, this song is perfect for this. I just love it. It's great. And yeah, that Counting Crows cover is definitely similar to what you're talking about. If you're listening only, Lance pulled up the Counting Crows cover he was just talking about.
Yeah, I was just trying to show you guys that, like, I've noticed that through every episode you can find like one musical type. You're like, oh, he drew that from this album, or he drew that. Like the Cult looks like it's straight from the Sgt. Pepper's cover. I don't know if you guys noticed that, with the very green and lush and kind of it reminded me of Sgt. Pepper's or any of those Beatles.
I love that you noticed this, and I think that a lot of other people probably noticed this too. I'm not tied into that music scene enough for me to have noticed it personally. I don't know about Chris and Sam, how you guys felt though.
I thought Octopus's Garden, where he's talking about, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I could see that too.
I always sing Renegade at karaoke, so when they played that song, I was all about that. Oh, mama, you know.
I love it.
The jig is up, the news is out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You guys know that song.
Yep.
The one thing that disappointed me though is that the end of season 1 starts playing a My Chemical Romance song to end credits. Not one single My Chem song in this whole season.
Yeah, it surprises me. I'm surprised none of his music has made it into the show.
Especially because My Chemical Romance has had such a big social media following over the last year and a half. As far as their reunion and things like that, like they've been huge. They're introducing new people to their music every day, so I just thought that was a little puzzling. Well, let's give our ratings on it real quick. I think we've talked all we could about this show. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so Chris, we do something here. How we rate our shows is we rate them on couch cushions. So 5 couch cushions is great, 0 is bad. And you get a throw pillow, so that's for your half a cushion.
Okay.
So I'll let Sam set the tone. I'll let him go first, so you can kind of see how it's done. Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, so I generally rate everything based on how rewatchable it is. I really enjoyed this season. I felt like it took out a lot of the cringy moments from season 1 with the incest and that weird boyfriend and Vanya's kind of quest for herself. That was really kind of tense.
Sam, you must not be a Game of Thrones fan then. Because I thought the incest was way below what Games of Thrones gives you.
I know, but it's
below that. That's true.
It's just
That's
it was
legit
like,
incest.
it's just kind of weird, right? They're like brother and sister, but they love each other, but they have it was weird. Anyway, so I would say 3 couch cushions and a throw pillow for me. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Max, you want to go, and then we'll have Chris go.
Sure. So I was just checking to make sure that I didn't say something wrong here. I wrote the review of Umbrella Academy on our site when it came out, and I wanted to make sure I didn't give this a higher score when I said I didn't like it as much. Which I wasn't going to do. I couldn't remember if I gave the original Umbrella Academy a 5 or a 4.5, and I gave it a 4.5, which honestly I didn't. While I didn't like season 2 as much as season 1, it was so close that I'm still going to give this one a 4.5. 4 couch cushions and a throw pillow, if you will.
Praise, Max.
I loved it. I thought it was great. Like, it's funny. Sometimes I'll say I like such and such thing better than the other thing, but that's like micro levels of liking something better. You know what I mean? I also want to go ahead and really quick take back the score I gave American Pickle. I don't know why the heck I gave it a 4. 3.5 is the correct score. Anyway, sorry. It's been bugging me all week since I gave it a 4. That was wrong. I did not like it that much. But 4.5, that's what I'm going to give season 2 of Umbrella Academy.
Chris, what about you?
I'm going to split the difference and give it 4 cushions.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with Chris. I think 4 is a solid score. I would probably give the same to season 1. I think they perfectly complement each other. I agree with Sam. I thought the serial killer in season 1 was a bit boring. Like I didn't really care for him as much, and I thought Vanya was kind of reduced. But those are my only 2 complaints as far as season 1 is concerned. Season 2, I thought that Klaus and Ben's relationship was focused on a lot. I like seeing that evolve more and more. I wish there was a bit more action when Ben releases those octopus arms. I think that's like one of the coolest things ever as far as a superhero is concerned. Everything else we've kind of seen. Diego has like these Magneto powers, right? He can make things bend through air and stuff.
No, that's not It's not magnetism.
It's not magnet. I'm just saying, like,
he can control metal to a degree. I mean, he stopped bullets. That's not magnetism per se, but he's got some kind of. Yeah. I don't understand his powers fully. But
I thought he was just Hawkeye. I thought he was just Hawkeye.
No, he can bend things.
He can bend things. He made those bullets stop Hawkeye can't.
Yeah, the knives thing is like he can throw it and it'll like go around a corner kind of a thing. He's
like Wanted.
got some ability
you
to
shoot the bullet and it goes around the corner. Like that's what I kind of felt like it was. You remember the show Wanted or movie Wanted? James McAvoy.
Yeah. Clearly, they could do a better job at explaining what Diego's powers are.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a psi ability of some sort. Like he's able to see where he's throwing the knife or what he's stopping, and he's able to make the direction change. It seems like it's a psionic ability.
Yeah, I would kind of put it in the realm of like a Jean Grey Magneto type thing. But all their powers we've kind of seen, right? Like number 5 is Nightcrawler-esque, right? And Luther is kind of like a thing, Colossus beast type thing, right? And then who am I forgetting? Vanya is very much like Jean Grey or anything like that, right? Like not psychic ability, but kind
Allison can basically make you do anything you want, which is, there's a lot of characters out there that can do that.
Yeah, and then the newcomer, Diego's girlfriend, is kind of like that rogue from X-Men.
Yeah, that was cool. She can take any power. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was I saying, man? You made me lose my thought when you were.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so I think that that they're very similar. I had complaints about the first one and different complaints about the second one, so I think I give them both a 4 out of 5. So, Max, you wanted to talk about something right now that I know has pissed you off royally. Halo Infinite has been delayed, and
I wouldn't say I'm pissed.
Well, you sounded pissed when you were talking about it earlier.
Well, I didn't mean to sound pissed. I'm not pissed. I think it's a good thing. Halo.
Let me give Chris a bit. So at the end of our show, we do a quick what we call Fab or Flub, where we talk about like 1 or 2 different headlines, and we just say if they're good or bad. It's Fab or Flub. It's really simple. So there's not much happening in the wave of news right now, but this one Max brought up is the Halo Infinite being delayed.
Yeah, so Halo Infinite, I'm Max the Gamer guy. I decided to get silly and call myself Max the Apocalypse guy today, but that's my little moniker. It's something that I started when like we first started doing this, and it only stuck for like Sam and I. But anyway,
because I always hated mine.
Yeah, you never liked your name. Anywho, yeah, so Halo Infinite was originally supposed to come out when the Xbox Series X launched later this year, and which has been confirmed for November, but they haven't given an exact date. But Halo Infinite is not anymore. They back in July, actually on the day my son was born, on July 23rd, they did some gameplay, and the graphics were not the greatest. Like, I still think the game looks like a lot of fun. I was excited for it. Halo being the most beautiful thing ever isn't really that important to me. I just want a fun game to play. But it got a lot of criticism, a lot of hate, saying that it looked like crap. And so Microsoft took that criticism to heart, and they're delaying it. Now, they're not saying they're delaying it because of that criticism. They're saying it's because of the pandemic, which I'm sure is a contributing factor. But it's pretty clear that the internet blew up saying, this looks like garbage and I don't want it. It's kind of like Sonic, how the internet blew up and then they're like, oh, let's delay the movie and redo the animation, So that's kind of what's going on. It looks like they're going to be going back to the drawing table and improving things, making it look better and delaying the game. I'm not pissed. I think this is the right move. I think Halo Infinite looked good. I was still excited for it to come out, but I'm generally not against the game being delayed because I think it's a good thing to give the developers more time to just see their vision through. So to me, this is a fab.
Okay. I don't really have an opinion because I wasn't going to buy an Xbox when it came out anyway. So
it doesn't matter. The good thing is you can play it on your Xbox One.
That's
Halo
true.
Infinite is not going to be exclusive to the Series X. It'll be on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and the leaked Xbox Series S that has not been confirmed yet. But there's going to be an Xbox Series S, which is just a little bit less expensive version of the Series X. Anyway.
So I'm kind of looking at the news headlines, and there's not really anything that's would require a remark on whether it's good or bad, but there are a couple things. If you haven't watched the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. finale, I suggest everyone watch it. I loved every second of it. The other thing is that Bill and Ted is coming out August 27th, Max?
28th, I think. Whatever the Friday.
And Tenet is still slated to be released in select theaters. So but there's not really much of anything happening. So,
well, here's something exciting that you guys can look forward to. August 22nd, so I think that's next Saturday, the DC fandom event is happening. So news on Wonder Woman 84, getting information on the Batman. There's talk that they're going to show some footage, which would be cool. We should get new footage of Wonder Woman 84. Hopefully, we will get some either a trailer or some degree of footage of the Justice League Snyder Cut. So that's exciting. Like, we're going to get some new stuff for gamers. There's a Suicide Squad game that was basically confirmed on the internet earlier this week that we should get to see some gameplay or something about. So if you're a DC fan, August 22nd, they're going to have DC fandom. That's exciting.
You know, Lance, you ought to bring up the picture of the Steppenwolf that was released for the Snyder Cut.
Looks awesome. Yeah, I posted that on our social media.
Go look for it real quick. There's one thing I wanted to bring up that I do want to get your guys' thoughts on. So Disney Plus has just announced that Star Wars is getting another holiday special that's going to be released on Disney Plus.
I saw that. They're doing like a Lego. They're doing the holiday special on like Lego or something like that.
Yeah. So, which I find pretty humorous because if it didn't work the first time, who's to say it won't work the second time, I guess. Which actually, we're going to be having one of the, I don't know if Chris has spoken to him, but we're going to be having one of the writers that wrote the original Christmas Story.
Peter Blanche?
Yeah.
He is absolutely hilarious. And to find out how many drugs they did on the set of writing that special makes you understand why it was so horrific.
Yeah.
He's hilarious to talk to.
You did get a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, he's a Hollywood icon. He's a trendsetter. He was kind of a mold breaker, and his list of credits for writing is ridiculous. And but he was one of the holiday special writers, and he laughs at it as much as we do.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. I don't know if you all remember him from Hollywood Squares, but he was the kind of bigger guy with the really thick red rimmed glasses, kind of Sally Jesse Raphael glasses. I don't know if you guys remember who he is.
He looks like a Muppet.
Yeah, he looks like a Muppet essentially, but he is one of the writers of the Star Wars Christmas special. So we're going to be talking to him real soon, which I'm excited for. Yeah, that looks cool. Ish. I don't know.
I think it looks way better. This is a low res image. Like, they deliberately aren't showing you all the detail. I think this looks way better than the original Steppenwolf. But again, it's low res, so.
Can we get the other Steppenwolf up to compare?
Looks very alien-ish.
Yeah.
For me, the difference is going to be the face. I felt like his face was just like very regular. It's just like very human face.
Yeah, I'm gonna let me see if I can find like a little comparison on Google.
And his voice was like very normal. It was like just like a regular dude's voice.
Like a dude in a suit, essentially.
Yeah.
Here's the original.
Yeah, he didn't look good, I don't think. I can't find a good one. But I think he looks a lot better now, personally. But we haven't seen the face, so
this the original basically looks like one of Joss Whedon's vampires from Buffy the Vampire Slayer with a cool helmet. So he kind of has that vampire look to him that the original show had.
Yeah, he just looks like a dude with a helmet.
Yeah.
And his voice was just like a normal voice.
So, but so that brings us to the end of our news. Chris, I wanted to give you a chance to tell our listeners where they can find you, how they can listen to your podcast. While you're doing that, we're going to bring this up on the screen so people can see it. But where they can find you. So it's What's Your F'n Binge, right? And what players can they find you on?
Yeah, What's Your F'n Binge is available on any platform. You can find a quality podcast from Apple to Spotify is going to be supporting video. We'll have video coming up around September 15th. Whenever Rogan moves from YouTube to Spotify, we'll be doing that. Anchor is one of our, we're considered a partner podcast for them. Radio Public, Pandora, iHeart, you name it, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. What's Your F'n Binge? You can find us there and pull up all of our episodes and subscribe to our newest.
Yeah, so it's a fun show. Max had an opportunity to listen to a couple episodes, and he was asking before we started about the Google devices that you guys were trying to get to talk to each other. Is that what I understood?
Yeah, I was listening. It was pretty funny.
We had a battle of Alexa versus Siri on another episode. The information the best, and we both ask it, why is Hooters closing? And Siri, of course, pulled up the article of because millennials are eating too much butthole, which is a real answer that Alexa will give you now, or if you Google it, that's an answer it will give. So that's pretty fucking funny, man.
That's fantastic.
Dude, I freaking love these devices, though. Just a little side tangent there, because now that I got a baby, the other night I was like, I was trying to sing my baby to sleep, and I was getting so tired of singing, I asked it to sing a lullaby, and it did. It was nice. Like, hey, can you sing
a bedtime story or anything like that? Yeah, they're great for that shit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Or I said, can you play shushing sounds? And it just started doing shh, 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 and it was working. He was starting to fade a little bit.
That's hilarious. Have you guys seen? I don't know if you guys use it, and I'm trying to find it right now, and I cannot find it. But do you guys use pop sockets at all? Any of you?
No.
So they're coming out with an attachment.
Seeping through my body. That's why.
What?
I said I have testosterone seeping through my body, Lance.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I don't want to drop my $1,300 phone. So
I just have to
let's see.
There's nothing feminine about those.
So this little portion of the pop socket pops off, right? You can buy a new cap that has Alexa built into it.
Oh, that's cool.
Bluetooth enabled. So this little piece is it looks like an Echo Dot, essentially, that they're coming out with, that I'm seriously considering on buying, because I am not a fan of Siri. I much prefer Alexa over anything else, but my whole house is Alexa enabled.
I've got my Google Assistant built in.
So, but yeah, that brings us to the end of our show. Go check out What's Your F'n Binge on all the podcast players that Chris had talked about on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Go check out couchcrunchers.com. Check out us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere where you could get your podcast from. We are there. And until next time, keep on geeking on.